Hi everyone, welcome back to Cheese and Turtles. My name's Imogen. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to deal with major emotions. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that. Give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So, there was a study in 1992. The 1992 Ekman study on emotions identified the following major emotions: anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. We all feel these emotions sometimes. So in this video, I'm talking about how to deal with them. And obviously there is like a lot of other sort of sub-emotions that I could talk about in other videos, but I wanted to deal with like these sort of major emotions because I think learning how to handle yourself emotionally is really key to maintaining good mental health and understanding that your emotions are a part of you and that they don't necessarily make you a better person, they don't make you a worse person, but they're just something that you need to be aware of in terms of like how to cope best with your mental health, okay? So let's talk about these each in turn, and let's start with anger. Now, I was brought up in a religious environment and anger was very much looked down on and kind of vilified, but something that I really realised recently was that anger is not a bad thing, okay? Anger can be very healthy. It can teach you how to stand up for yourself. Anger is something that can be used very productively. Anger is something that can be channeled into making the world a better place. Okay, so the real key to handling your anger in a really positive way is to channel it in healthy ways, okay? So channel it into making your life better, channel it into making other people's lives better. You know, sometimes some of the biggest improvements in social history have come through people getting angry at injustice, okay? Whether that's on a personal level or on a societal level. Okay, so anger can serve a really healthy purpose if you channel it correctly. And sometimes, you know, you feel angry about something and you just need an outlet, and that's when other healthy coping mechanisms come into play. So for example, exercise. I went through a period last year where I was very angry about something that was just going on in my personal life, and I worked out a lot. And it was a combination of anger and sadness, I think, but I worked out a lot. So that really helped me because firstly, it was kind of an emotional release. And secondly, it just helped me get healthier. So that's a win-win, okay? Like it calmed me down, it made me stronger. So it's a really useful way to just kind of channel that energy into something more positive. Productivity. I remember one time at university, I just got very pissed off about something. I think I was just having a bad day and everything was pissing me off. And then I went to the library and I had the most productive library session like I had up to that point. And so I was like, wow, okay. So you can channel it into productivity, self-improvement and communication, okay? Sometimes when you're angry, you can learn how to channel that into better communication, okay? And making sure that that like thing that's made you angry doesn't occur again, okay? So there are lots of ways to channel anger that are healthy and actually productive because anger is a very powerful emotion and it can give you a lot of energy to do things, okay? So don't waste it. The next emotion I want to talk about is disgust. Now, disgust is something that we often don't like to talk about, and it's something that we all feel at certain points in our lives. Now, it might be, you know, disgust at something, you know, it could range from, you know, you're clearing out the fridge and you're like, ew, I forgot about those leftovers and now they're moldy. That's disgust. But also it could be disgust at something someone did. It's like, you know, the injustice of something that someone did, whether it's to you or to someone else. There's a whole range of causes for disgust, but when you're feeling a sense of disgust, this is a really good emotion, actually, because it tells you what to avoid, okay? So it might tell you to clean out your fridge more often, or it might tell you that someone in your life is toxic and you need to either have a conversation with them about that or you need to limit your contact, okay? So disgust is very useful because it tells you what to avoid. It helps with fine-tuning your gut feeling. I've talked in other videos about how to start listening to your gut feeling and how to really understand it, like with your intuition, okay? So go and look that up if you're interested in learning more. But disgust can actually be very helpful because it can help you define your values and what you want to be doing with your life. So many times I have felt a sense of disgust at something that someone else did, and it's really helped me get a sense of clarity on what I don't want my life to be. Okay, so when I felt a sense of disgust about something that someone did, I'm like, I absolutely do not categorically in any way, shape or form want to be like that person. Okay, and then I was like, hang on a minute, that actually really helped me understand what I do want to be like. Okay, so disgust is so important for helping you understand what to avoid and what you need to work on. Really, like, super, super helpful. Next, I want to talk about fear, okay? Fear is huge, actually. Fear has been a constant in my life for so many years, okay? I have chronic anxiety. For those of you who don't know, I suffer from chronic anxiety, which I've been in therapy for, I'm on medication for, so it's like an ongoing chronic mental health condition that I have. So I'm well acquainted with fear, okay? And fear, obviously, you can experience it outside of a context where you have it as like a recognized condition. Everyone experiences fear. Some of us have anxiety additionally, but you know, fear is very widespread, okay? It can be a useful emotion to keep us safe, but when it goes into overdrive, like in my case, it can harm your mental health, okay? So I calm myself with medication, therapy, going outside in nature, music, and journaling. Those are the healthy coping mechanisms, among others, that I've developed over the years, and they really help me, okay? I've trained myself to understand what's irrational anxiety and what's a valid fear, okay? So when I was a teenager, I really didn't understand, like I understood a little bit about having anxiety. Like I knew I had it, but I really didn't understand like the difference between irrational and rational fears. I was just kind of scared of everything. So gradually I've learned to recognize what is like a symptom of the disorder and what is like an actual legitimate worry, okay? And sometimes when I'm feeling a sense of fear, I'm able to stop and go, ah yes, I'm feeling fear because it is a symptom of a disorder, anxiety, which I have, okay? And I'm not about to like get eaten by a tiger or, you know, fall off a building. My house isn't going to burn down, okay? I'm not going to be like, I don't know, thrown in a river by a polar bear that doesn't like me, okay? So those are all like irrational fears, and at this point, and it is something that you build through experience, but as a result of like combining those healthy coping mechanisms I talked about with the experience of understanding what is a symptom of my mental health condition and what is actually a legitimate fear, assessing those logically. Okay, so a legitimate fear might be, you know, something could go wrong which compromises my financial independence. So then the action I take is to build up my savings. Okay, so rational and logical fears can always be acted on, okay? But irrational and illogical fears are just this sort of like scary thing which exists in your mind, and they're there to scare you for no good reason because our brains are weird and funny places, okay? But through a combination of experience and those healthy coping mechanisms, you can learn how to manage and understand your fear. Look at it objectively and listen to your gut as well. Happiness. I know I've talked a lot about generally like negative emotions, but I want to talk about happiness. Guys, you deserve to be happy. How do we deal with happiness? We don't deal with happiness, we enjoy happiness. Okay, but I still wanted to talk about it. This is a great emotion to cultivate, okay? You shouldn't always seek to be like constantly happy, because if you never feel any other emotion, then you don't have the same like emotional depth and you aren't like feeling the full range of your emotions, and that can be unhealthy in itself. But this is a great emotion to cultivate, okay? Pay attention to what makes you feel happy so you can build a life, purpose, projects and hobbies around experiencing authentic joy. It's so important, okay? And once I started focusing on my own happiness and understanding that I deserve to experience happiness, I felt it so much more, okay? So focus on things that bring you joy in your life, okay? Really, really important. Now, let's talk about sadness, okay? Sadness can be super productive. I know that it is something that often people are like, oh, I want to avoid being sad at all costs. But by this point in my life, I've learned to kind of like go with the flow. And when I feel sad, I allow myself to feel that emotion to like its fullest extent, okay? I'm not scared of being sad, okay? I've been sad many times. And is it an unpleasant emotion? It can be. But it can also be something with great like emotional depth and resonance, okay? Sadness can also be super productive. I've had some of my most productive times when I've been angry or sad. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I was working out a lot during a recent-ish period of fairly intense sadness, okay? So it's really a good exercise in allowing yourself to experience acceptance of emotions and remind yourself that being sad isn't a personal failing, okay? Just because you're sad, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you failed, okay? Sadness can result from a perceived failure, but the reality is that you can always get back up and try again, okay? And it's really important to allow yourself to feel sad, to process that like emotion, okay? Sadness is not bad. You're not a bad person if you're sad. You're just a sad person, and that's normal. Everyone feels sad sometimes. And finally, let's talk about surprise. Now, a lot of us here in the productivity community hate surprise. We like certainty. We plan for things, okay? And so when we are surprised, it can be something negative, and that emotion of surprise, it can throw you off balance because you're like, oh, you know, I didn't expect this, what is going on? Surprise can be positive or negative. You could be positively surprised, like maybe one of your friends shows up and you weren't expecting them and you're like, they're here. Or it might be negative, it's like, you know, something bad happened in your life which you didn't expect. but it's a good opportunity to practice your openness to change, okay? Try new things. Practice spontaneity to understand what you can do and what you do and don't like about any given new experience, okay? Don't fear surprise or fear change. It can introduce you to a lot of new experiences and opportunities. Surprise is an opportunity, okay? And as much as I like my plans and I like to be able to like have certainty, surprise is something that I'm trying to make room in my life for. A little bit of spontaneity, okay? So that is how to deal with major emotions. Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comments. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that. Give this video a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram. I will see you next time. Okay?